Good morning, everyone. My name is Yair Flores. I am the Carolina State Director for the American Business Immigration Coalition, a coalition of 1,200 CEOs and business leaders across 13 states, supporting common sense bipartisan immigration solutions because it's morally right and economically important. On behalf of the event co-chairs and all our co-sponsors, welcome to Adelante Latino Businesses for Bipartisan Immigration Solutions. We are a Latino business, civic, and faith leaders from across the Carolinas, and as allies to urge North Carolina Senators Tom Tillis and Richard Burr, and South Carolina Senators Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham to recognize the Latino community's contribution to the Carolinas. Senators, we urge you to support bipartisan immigration solutions, including the Bipartisan Dream Act of 2021, the Secure Act, and the Farm Workforce Modernization Act. Over the next month, this group of advocates and organizations will be recruiting 500 business leaders from the Carolinas to add their name to a letter urging the U.S. Senate to pass Bipartisan Dream Act of 2021. DACA might be revoked by the court decision any day now. Throughout the rest of the program, we will discuss why this is the moment for action on common sense bipartisan immigration solutions. After remarks from each event co-chair, we will have a brief Q&A. My story and my family's story make it clear immigrants are here to work. I was born in Mexico and was brought to the U.S. when I was very young. I am a DACA recipient who grew up in Kernersville, North Carolina. My parents graduated from college in Mexico and came to North Carolina to provide a better future for their children. They worked in restaurants as dishwashers. My father worked as a forklift operator, and my mother worked in nursing home as a CNA, and now building her own business. I had family who worked in Yadkin County poultry industry and family friends who picked tobacco. Because of their sacrifices, I pushed myself to excel in multiple sports and in school. I played football all 4 years and later became quarterback of my high school team. Although the out-of-state college tuition was difficult for me to afford in North Carolina, I built a few businesses and worked a couple full-time jobs to self-fund my college education. I have an 8-year-old son, and providing him a brighter future outweighed those obstacles. Common sense bipartisan immigration solutions can help unleash our full economic potential and contribute to our great country. And now I would like to turn it over to Pastora Maudia Melendez, President of the Federation of Christian Churches of North Carolina, who will open up the program with a prayer and some remarks.
Good morning, everyone. As Jael have said, my name is Maudia Melendez. I'm the president of the Federation of Churches in North Carolina, and also the, seems like I lost you. I'm the director of Jesus Ministry. I've been working for immigration for the last 30 years. And I believe that at this point, it is necessary for us to have immigration reform. And that's the reason why I joined this organization, this great organization that is looking to have that immigration reform in a form that's a bipartisan and looking for that immigration solutions. We know that the system has been broken for more than 30 years. We have workers in the United States that have been waiting for this immigration reform. So I believe that this is the time that we are going to have that immigration reform, simply because we've been working, we've been praying, and we believe that together we can do it. Together we can reach and get to that immigration reform. This morning, I'm just gonna pray And I'm gonna ask all of you to join me, since we believe that God is the one that can give us this immigration reform. God is invited to this effort, and I believe that together we can ask for his divine intervention. So let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, we come to you right now, Lord, and we thank you for this great organization that is trying to work so hard in these times, oh God. Again, one more time, trying one more time to pass immigration reform. We know, Lord, that by ourselves we cannot do anything. But if we join, if we united, we can do all things. And we believe also that you are, oh God, the one that can help us, the one that can put in our minds and in the hearts for the people to work together. And also the government, oh God. We have 2 senators in North Carolina, and we need for them to join us in this effort. Lord, you the one who can put the desires in their hearts to move forward with us. We thank you for everyone that's here today. And we ask you, Lord, to bring some other workers and some other leaders that can work with us. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Now it's my privilege to present and introduce Grace Bailey, and she's the president and CEO of Latin American Chamber of Commerce in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you, Pastora, and thank you for that wonderful prayer this morning. What a great way to open this event. My name is Grace Bailey. I serve as President CEO for the Latin American Chamber of Commerce here in Charlotte, and our mission is to foster the economic growth of our great city of Charlotte. My story is that I came to the United States with my mother when I was 3 years old, and under the Immigration Reform Act signed by Ronald Reagan in 1996, my mom and I found our pathway to citizenship. And now my mom is a proud mother of 3 American children and 4 American grandchildren. So I know and I support bipartisan immigration reform, because I know that we are an integral and indispensable part of this country. Let me tell you a story. I worked for the college planning industry for many years, and I got to see many great students go to college and help them and guided them with college applications and everything they needed to go to college, including DACA students. One particular student that really lives in my heart shared her story with me. She refused to sign any paperwork, any financial aid paperwork, any applications for college, but I knew that she had it in her to go to college. For fear that that application had her name on it, her mother's name on it, and that she might be deported. She shared her story with me, and she said that she came to this country when she was 3 years old, and this is all that she knew. You see, she was me when I was 3 years old, and her mother had instilled a growth mindset in her. And her mother further shared with me that they had a plan, that if her mother was deported, that the 16-year-old would go and live with a neighbor. Imagine that. You're 16-year-old living with a neighbor, and you putting her before you because you know that you want her to succeed. Immigrants have a growth mindset. I've always said that. Nobody leaves their country, everything that they know, to come and have a better life and to grow roots in a country that is not their own. So again, I support bipartisan immigration reform, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because we are an integral, indispensable part of this country, of this workforce, and of this economy. So having said that, Latinos power the US economy with $2.3 trillion GDP. In the last decade, 86% of net new businesses were launched by Latinos. And furthermore, the largest cohort of college enrollees are Latinos, larger than any other cohort. So bipartisan immigration is a must, because we are an integral, indispensable part of this country, of this economy, and of this workforce. Next month, this group of advocates and organizations will recruit 500 more signatures from business leaders and education leaders here in the Carolinas, urging the US Senate to pass a bipartisan DREAM Act 2021. We will reach out to our 4 senators in Carolina and urge them to seize this moment and to join us in this movement to support bipartisan immigration solutions. We will report back in June and we'll let you know what our efforts have yielded, but we will also continue this momentum. Senators Tom Tillis, Richard Burr, Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham, I urge you to support Bipartisan Immigration Solutions, because without it, we risk without it, we're going to kneecap our recovery, we're going to hurt our small businesses, and we're going to stunt our growth. Thank you for this time, and thank you for all of you being here and supporting this effort. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Jose Hernandez Paris, who's the Executive Director of the Latin American Coalition here in Charlotte.
Thank you so much. Failure to pass common sense bipartisan solutions before the Senate will be a slap in the face to the hundreds of thousands of dreamers, TPS holders, farm workers, and essential workers who have risked their lives to get us through this pandemic in the Carolinas and across the nation, as well as to the entire Latino community. It would also be a huge blow to American economy and infrastructure. For most of our 30 years of existence, the Latin American Coalition has focused on helping our families, youth, and workers survive an extremely hostile environment. Even under constant fear and uncertainty, they have continued to contribute with their skills, hard work, paying their taxes, educating themselves, making our roads, fixing our cars, repairing our houses. And after DACA and the opportunity that our youth got with DACA and TPS, now they're educating our children in public schools. They're risking their lives as they are the nurses, janitors, and even doctors in our hospitals. And we have heard many and plenty of stories of these heroes. Many of them are now part of our essential workforce and have always been part of our essential workforce. We have seen what can happen when we give immigrants a chance. You imagine the economic impact of at least 5 million people who are already here, have a true opportunity, and they have a true opportunity to continue. The last 14 or so months of the pandemic has particularly highlighted the contribution of these individuals, as they have been the primary force to keep our country going and keeping our economy from collapsing. We owe it to these individuals to pass the Essential Workers Act with a path to citizenship. What will happen if we fail to act right now? You know, failure is instructive. And we can look at states that have passed actively anti-immigrant bills as lessons for our nation as a whole. In 2011, Alabama enacted HB 56, an anti-immigrant legislation meant to expel immigrants from the state. The result was disastrous. 6 months after HB 56 was passed, Alabama had lost over $11 million in economic output. And depending on the source, it is estimated that they lost between 70,000 to 140,000 jobs. And 3 years later, they were still facing a decline in construction job numbers and annual construction spending, while other states were increasing in both areas. Again, failure is instructive. Let the nation know that North Carolina is an inclusive and welcoming state. In my opinion, it is not only economically crucial, it is in line with American values, and failure to take action now will not be forgiven by my community. Senators, we ask that you support common sense bipartisan immigration solutions and support this legislation now. And I leave you with this quote. Failure to act will remove tens of thousands of men and women from the domestic construction workforce. Without these workers, construction projects in many parts of the country, particularly in regions with a large presence of so-called dreamers and individuals with temporary protected status are likely to be significantly disrupted. And we have already seen that here in North Carolina. So with that, it is an honor for me to present to you next, Ms. Evelyn Lugo, who is the president of the South Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Evelyn.
Thank you, Jose. Buenos días a todos. Good morning, everyone. As Jose said, I'm Evelyn Lugo. I'm the president and founder of the South Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which was founded in 2007. The South Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce exists to promote the economic growth of Hispanic businesses across South Carolina. The South Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the first and only Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in the state with more than 500 members. The Chamber focuses its activities on technical training through the Entrepreneur Empowerment Series and access to capital through a partnership with Community Works, and being a voice for South Carolina's Hispanic business community. We support organizations such as the American Business Immigration Coalition because of their bipartisan approach to immigration. With more than 6,000 and growing Hispanic businesses in South Carolina, we need a comprehensive immigration reform with special attention to the dreamers and farm workers. I'm calling on my home state senators, Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham, to seize the moment. The time is now. Recognize my community's many contributions to our state, our communities, and our economy. Take immediate action to support the Bipartisan Immigration Solutions before you, including the DREAM Act of 2021 that you yourself introduced, Senator Graham. And to help you understand the importance of passing an immigration reform, here are some statistics and facts. In the health field, and this is from the New American Economy Research Fund, immigrants are helping South Carolina meet its growing demand for health workers, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Immigrants are helping to fill critical teacher shortages across the state. And immigrants are playing essential roles as social workers and behavioral health providers, with demand spiking due in part to the pandemic. An interesting fact regarding the growing attraction that South Carolina is having among Hispanics is that in 1990, fewer than 50,000 foreign-born residents lived in the state. But by 2010, that share had more than tripled, reaching 4.6%. Between 2010 and 2014, the state grew its immigration population at the same pace as the country as a whole, gaining more than 12,400 new foreign-born residents during that period. And this growth is foreign-born residents continue to happen steadily as we come in contact with individuals that want to start a business in South Carolina. Also, there's data from the American Immigration Council. As consumers, immigrants add billions of dollars to South Carolina's economy. South Carolina residents in immigrant-led households had $5.9 billion in spending power after tax income in 2018. Immigrant entrepreneurs in South Carolina generate hundreds of millions of dollars in business revenue. 23,670 immigrants business owners accounted for 10% of all self-employed South Carolina residents in 2018 and generated $719.6 million in business income. In 2018, immigrants accounted for 15% of business owners in the Charlotte, Gastonia, Concord metropolitan area, which spans North Carolina and South Carolina. All this data is a testament to what we have seen through the existence of the South Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We will continue to advocate for a comprehensive immigration reform and will encourage our elected officials at the federal level to work in a bipartisan way to finally address this pressing issue, which is and has been always an American issue. Thank you so much for listening. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Isabela Luján, the co-founder of the Latin American Business Council. Isabela.
Thanks, Evelyn. Good morning. My name is Isabella Lujan. I am the co-founder and co-chair of the Latin American Business Council with the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce. The Latin American Business Council has the vision to promote accessibility for all the established Latino businesses in our region of all the available results of local and federal public policy that could foster, improve, and boost our community. I am a Venezuelan immigrant. I arrived to this country 4 years ago with my heart and my soul broken. I never thought I was going to come to America due to violence, harassment, and social unrest in my own country. I never thought I could ever be considered as someone who was displaced. With my brothers and sisters from El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Haiti, Nepal, Somalia, South Sudan, Syria, and Yemen, we Venezuelans are now TPS holders. We came to America to escape violence, tyranny, and natural disasters. And now we are making tremendous contributions to our communities throughout the US. Did you know that there are over 18,600 temporary protected status holders in the Carolinas? Did you know that over 96% of TPS holders in North Carolina are employed? Did you know that TPS holders in North Carolina earn more than that 429 million in household income and pay over $89.4 million in state, local, and federal taxes? Did you know that TPS holders live in constant state of uncertainty, needing to reapply for the program every 6 to 18 months and pay substantial fees? Now, the majority of TPS holders are going to see their protection expire in October of 2029. The majority of TPS holders after being in this country for more than 20 years. What do we need from you, senators? We need you to co-sponsor the Secure Act, which would provide a pathway to permanency to an estimated of 650 TPS holders, including more than 320 Venezuelans. The Secure Act needs at least one Republican co-sponsor and the support of 10 Republican senators to become law. You have the opportunity to make history and to make profound impact in the immigrant community who was and still is the future of America. I'm calling you, North and South Carolina senators, Tom Tillis, Richard Burr, Tim Scott, and Lindsey Graham. Meet this moment, co-sponsor the Secure Act. Show me that you care about the predicament facing my Venezuelan community and other TPS recipients throughout the US. Support other bipartisan immigration solutions, including the DREAM Act and the Farm Workforce Modernization Act. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Bert Lemkes, General Manager at Tri-Hirschtiel and member of American Court.
Thank you very much. I am also an immigrant, and I'm a general manager of a greenhouse operation in Mills River, North Carolina. I'm a member of American Hort, which has been active promoting a solution to this issue that has been lingering and haunting us for many years now. I've made many times the statement, your fruits, vegetables, and flowers will be picked by foreign hands, either inside our borders or outside. Ag labor is a major issue. 70% of the labor in ag is from Hispanic origin, and a high percentage does not have legal status according to our US government. This issue has been the #1 concern for our industry, including horticulture, greenhouse, and nursery sector. Our workforce concern in this field is not just labor, it's special, trained, and focused work, mostly seasonal, but also year-round in certain ag sectors like dairy and greenhouse vegetable production. We need a solution through legislation that addresses yesterday, today, and tomorrow. as proposed in the Farm Workforce Modernization Act. Let me explain that a little bit more. Yesterday addresses our current workforce. We need a path to a legal immigration status for undocumented ag labor. It's critically important to our nation's food and agriculture system. A more stable farm labor force means greater food safety and security to the benefit of all Americans. Today, we need to remove the fear within our labor force and employers, farmers. The fear of raids is unbelievable real and impacting many, as well as the resulting sudden shortages of labor and liability for employers. Tomorrow, we need to simplify and reduce the bureaucracy of the H-2A, H-2B visa program and make the visa program linked to the labor market demands and employer requests. We need to allow more employer-sponsored ag green cards. This Farm Workforce Modernization Act that I mentioned earlier has passed the House of Representatives with strong bipartisan support. The Senate has an opportunity to take a good bill and improve it. We want to say to our senators, don't miss this opportunity. We know our senators Tillis and Burr of North Carolina and Graham and Scott of South Carolina understand our ag labor needs, and we ask them to help our industry. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Jose Oliva with Replacements Limited.
Thank you, Bert, and good morning, everybody. My name is Jose Oliva, and I lead all public policy and social impact initiatives here at Replacements Limited in Greensboro, North Carolina. Replacements is the largest retailer of new and vintage tableware, stagiourly, and washes. We have more than 1 million active customers. Today, I would like to talk about immigrant families as a growing voting bloc in the Carolinas. In 2004, Latinos accounted for 8,000 registered Latino voters in the state. That number increased to 140,000 in 2020. In South Carolina, there are 118,000 Latinos eligible to vote. And if you account for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, in North Carolina, we have more than 100,000 more voters. And this is important because elections in North Carolina are won by small margins. Let me give you two examples. In 2016, Roy Cooper, a Democrat, defeated a Republican incumbent governor, Pat McCrory, by a little over 10,000 votes. And in 2020, Paul Newby, a Republican, defeated an incumbent Democratic Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court, Cheri Beasley, by 401 votes. Both Pat McCrory and Cheri Beasley are now running for the U.S. Senate, which will be one of the most competitive races in North Carolina's history and across the country. And immigrant families are going to play a key role in electing the next senator. Immigrant families are an important constituency, not of the future, but of the present. And as all constituencies, we have priorities. And for us, our priority is fixing our broken immigration system. Now, I would like to introduce a good friend and the co-founder of the largest Latino-led credit union in the country, my friend, John Herrera. He has been a tremendous leader in the state and across the country for many years. So go ahead, John.
Thank you so much, Jose. It is an honor and a privilege to be joined by such a wonderful group of leaders, business people, and community leaders from North Carolina and South Carolina. Me too, I'm an immigrant, originally from Costa Rica. I'm a proud US citizen and father of 6 children, all of voting age. And I feel very optimistic that we can change and fix once and for all this broken immigration system that we have been living with. And I think for all the stated reasons, we need to act now. The time is now. La hora es ahora. Ha llegado. I want to do a call to action to our senators from North and South Carolina, Senator Tom Tillis and Richard Byrd from North Carolina, and Senator Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. The Latino community of the Carolinas is looking for your political leadership. We are Latino voters, business, civic, and faith leaders, and we have come together to urge you to take immediate action to legalize the hundreds of thousands of immigrants who are powering our agriculture, construction, manufacturing, technology, hospitality, tourism, healthcare industries in the Carolinas. Because it is morally right and economically imperative, now is the time. With so much at the stake, we're urging you to support the Bipartisan DREAM Act of 2021, recently introduced by Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois and by our own senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. We are asking you to co-sponsor the Secure Act so that thousands of TPS holders, temporary protected status holders, in the Carolinas can have a path to citizenship. We need you to lead in the Senate supporting the Bennett-Crapo Farm Workforce Modernization Act, which will secure our workforce and ensure farm workers and their families do not need to live in fear. This event is only the beginning. Over the next month, this group of advocates and organizations will be recruiting over 500 businesses and education leaders from the Carolinas to add their name to a letter urging the US Senate to pass the Bipartisan DREAM Act of 2021. DACA will be revoked by court decision in any moment, any day. We will reach out to each of our 4 Carolina senators asking for a meeting to directly urge you to seize this urgency of this moment and to take action on bipartisan immigration solutions. In June, we will hold another event to report back on these efforts and continue building this momentum. For those of us in this call, this is what you can do now. And please check on the chat so you can get the links to the letter that I'm going to ask you. We need to sign on that Dream Letter Act, the Dream Letter, and it will be shared on the chat, that link. Please take note of it. Call your senators, and their phone numbers also will be shared in the chat. And you can just join ABIC, the American Business Immigration Coalition, this wonderful bipartisan coalition. We have Republicans, Democrats, and independents coming together for a common sense immigration solution. So I urge you to take action now, today, talk to your friends, call your senators, because we cannot live in fear any longer. And we're Americans, we can do better than this. Thank you very much. And with this, I want to pass on the microphone to our State Director, Jael Flores.
Thank you, John. Now we will take some time for some Q&A. Please submit your questions using the Q&A box in the bottom of your screen. Take a few minutes here. Okay, looks like we're getting some questions here. The first question looks like it's directed to Chris Bailey, Isabella Lujan, and Bert Limkes. What would the main bills you are calling on the senators to support actually do, and what is their status? Chris, can you answer that?
Yes, Yael, thank you for your question. I want to start by saying that we're not asking for charity, we're asking for support. As you can see, I'm going to outline the DREAM Act 2021. This DREAM Act 2021 was introduced this last February in 2021, and it grants conditional permanent resident status to immigrant children who were brought here at an early age, and it protects them from deportation. granted that they meet certain conditions. And here are the conditions. One is that they pass a rigorous background check and a law enforcement check as well. Two is that they maintain continued residency. That means that they're not going away and then coming back. They maintain continued residency. And three, that they graduate from high school or obtain a GED. And four, that they pursue a higher education, or they pursue a higher education, or they go to the military, and that they work for at least 3 years. Now, if they meet all of those conditions, then they're able to create a pathway to residency and then to citizenship. So again, we're not asking for charity, we're asking for support, we're asking for solutions.
Thank you, Chris. And Isabella, it looks like the TPS Secure Act is for you.
Yes, the Secure Act needs a Republican co-sponsor to move forward. It would deliver stability and a path to citizenship for recipients of temporary protected status and their families who have built their lives in the US, including thousands who live and work in the Carolinas. These are folks that have fled natural disasters or authoritarian regimes, like the Maduro regime in Venezuela and the Burmese military junta.
Thank you, Isabella. And it looks for they're asking about the Farm Workforce Modernization Act.
Yes, the Farm Workforce Modernization Act that has passed the House is a solid foundation, and we call on our Carolina senators to engage with their colleagues and build on that foundation and pass a law providing for a more stable farm labor force and greater food safety and security to the benefit of all Americans.
Well, thank you, Bert. Next question here, it looks like it's directed to John Herrera. What gives you reason to hope the political movement is special?
Thank you, Jael. Can you repeat that question for me, please, again?
Oh, sorry. It says, what gives you reason to hope this political movement is special?
I'm very optimistic in this sense. You know, despite the political polarization that we are experiencing, there's a real window for bipartisan solutions. And just this week, we saw a clear, Democrats and Republicans and independents coming together, trying to provide solutions to these issues. The Intermountain chapter of ABIC was part of this coalition of organizations in Arizona that just won a bipartisan vote on putting forward a ballot initiative that would provide a standard in-state college tuition to all students who attend and graduate from Arizona's high schools, regardless of their immigration status. This is Arizona, so it's happening, and it's going to happen throughout the country. Just last week, Senator Tillis did give me another spite of hope here. Tillis was quoted in the New York Times as saying he is guardedly optimistic about the possibility of a successful dealing, including a path to citizenship for dreamers. We also know that the American people want this. Here in North Carolina, according to a new poll released just yesterday, 66% of likely voters support legislation offering an earned path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States as children. People who are contributing and working here legally due to war or natural disaster in their home countries, and farm workers and other essential workers. We want to see bipartisan collaboration to make this happen. We also want to know that the majority leader, Chuck Schumer, stated, signaling that if nothing gets done before the August recess, come September, Democrats will be looking seriously at what can be done with 51 votes through reconciliation. Finally, the 2020 census showed the lowest population growth in this country since the Great Depression. Without more immigrants, we are going to see a depletion of the Social Security funds, less tax revenue, and labor shortages, especially in the rural areas of this country. The time to act is now. So all these facts give me hope that this is a special moment in the history of this country, and the leadership in Congress needs to recognize that the time to act is now.
Thank you, John, for that great answer to that question. And it looks like we have a couple questions here. We do apologize if we won't be able to get to everybody, but the last question is, what can we do? Jose Oliva, I think this is directed to you.
Thank you, Yael. Let me say that John is right. The moment is now, and we must act. ABIC, we're very proud of this organization and the recruitment it has done over the last few months. And one of the most important things one can do at this moment is to join ABIC, because this is a bipartisan coalition that is effective and has the ear of senators across the country. We have reached out to people in healthcare. We have also reached out to college presidents and business associations. And if you have relationships to those organizations, please reach out to them and encourage them to join ABIC. If you're an employer, join ABIC and take action now. The second thing someone can do is to sign the petition that ABIC has at this moment to encourage both Senator Tillis and Senator Byrd in North Carolina and Senator Graham and Senator Scott in South Carolina to pass the DREAM Act of 2021. And the last thing we can do is to activate our community, to get out there, to let our senators know that we're in support of these bills. One of the bills is led by Senator Lindsey Graham, and we need 10 Republicans. So I encourage you that you call your senators. All of our senators are Republican, and we need 10 Republicans in the Senate right now. So we have a lot of work to do, but I am optimistic that we can do it if we work together, and we encourage all of our friends and families and businesses that we know to get on board. This is the time. The time is now. So thank you, Yael.
Thank you, Jose, for answering that question. It looks like we won't be able to get to everybody's question, but I do encourage everybody to follow up. Again, with that, we will be needing to close for today. Make sure to call your senators, join ABIC, and sign the DREAM letter. Help us build momentum behind common sense, bipartisan immigration solutions. To learn about how to get involved, you can reach out to me directly, and my email will be on the chat. For media follow-up, we will also be sending out a press release shortly, and you can reach out directly to our communications director, Hiram Soto. His email will also be on the chat. Also, we are going to our next event. Look out for the information on our next event on March 20th, organized with our partners at the Texas Opportunity Coalition, the Latino Businesses Case for Federal DREAM Act. The link will appear in the next slide as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and hope to have a great rest of your day. And please look at the chat for our email communications and our emails directly. Please follow up. Thank you, everyone.